The government we deserve. Have you ever heard of the Han Chinese? Stay with me for a second. This is going to be about the low-T GOP. So actually, it's about our nation as a whole. But let's talk about something for a moment. We try to look at America, anyone who has any kind of a mind for history, and we try to figure out where are we historically? What nation are we? Trying to figure out where we're going, right? You know what the Han Chinese were? About 20, 30 years before Christ to about 200 years after Christ. Had a good run. In China, obviously. But one of the fascinating things about the Han Chinese was this. I always thought it was fascinating. They had these emperors, and it was standard Chinese emperor. Everyone worships him, that kind of thing. But eventually, the emperor becomes just a puppet. You know, they'll have this kid or that kid. Sometimes the emperor was a baby. Okay, so who's actually running the country? Towards the end, the last 100 years or more of the Han dynasty, the empire was just run by the palace eunuchs, these real scheming guys behind the scenes, or the palace women, the scheming women behind the scenes, and they were at war with each other, assassinating each other. But the long way that I want to say this is this. They were so unpopular, the eunuchs and the women, with everyone. And the society hated them. And nothing they did worked. And yet, even though they were universally unpopular with everybody, nobody, you could go out and walk down the Han Chinese sidewalk and tap 20 Chinese people on the shoulder and ask them, what do you think about those eunuchs? No positive responses, universally hated. And yet, they were able to maintain power for themselves for a long time until it finally ended. The people of that nation were so disgusted by the people who led them and their government, and they didn't like any of it. But they were stuck living under this horrible system for so long before the system finally ended up collapsing. In case you're wondering, a military leader came and killed all the eunuchs. But anyway, that's where we are now as a country. I think about this when I look at our leaders. I think about it when I look at what a joke they've become. Not just that they're people I disagree with. That's one thing. That's kind of life, right? You're going to have politicians with whom you disagree. But, man, kind of gross, isn't it? John Fetterman is a United States senator. And I'm not one of these people who assigns, lofty things to politicians because mostly they're scumbags, but that's a big deal. United States senator is a big deal. John Fetterman was asked today about the impending impeachment inquiry for Joe Biden. This human being, selected by the citizens of Pennsylvania as a United States senator.
I ask you about this news that Speaker McCarthy has formally launched an impeachment, or has said he's going to.
Oh my God, really? Oh my gosh, it's devastating. Ooh, don't do it. Please don't do it. Oh no.
So we gotta run back to the office, but
like he's 10 years old. Now, here's what's crazy about that. Just like the Han dynasty, honestly, Republican, Democrat, Independent, you go show that video right there. That one right there. You look, just clip it. Carry around the Jesse Kelly Show with you on the First TV app, which is available on your phone, I should note. Go show that clip right there to 10 friends, to Democrat friends. You will not get one ringing endorsement of it. Every person will look at that and say, oh, that's kind of cringe. I can't believe that guy's a senator. Everybody universally agreed upon that is embarrassing and that human being is in the United States Senate. You compare that video with this one of the most powerful Republican in Washington, D.C.
Bipartisan cooperation and a string of
Are you good, Mitch?
Okay, Mitch.
What are my thoughts about what?
Running for re-election in 2026.
That's
Did you hear the question, Senator? Running for re-election in 2026? All right, I'm sorry, you all. We're going to need a minute. Senator. Benny.
Don't show your neighbor that. Republican, Democrat, Independent. They will almost universally cringe. Oh, gosh, that's embarrassing. And yet there he sits, the most powerful Republican in Washington, D.C. And so maybe you're sitting there saying, well, yeah, Jesse, but they're about to at least replace Mitch. He's so old, he's not going to run for re-election. They're going to replace him. Oh, yeah, a story came out today from the Daily Caller. An aide in Washington, D.C. said this about the process to replace Mitch as being the most powerful Republican in D.C. Quote, it's going to be one of the Johns. The process is essentially rigged where an outsider could not emerge with enough votes. Even if someone did try to challenge the establishment, it would be impossible for that person to win. McConnell has too much money behind him. It will either be Thune or Cornyn, but most likely Thune. One of the Johns. That would be John Thune or John Cornyn. You see, very similar to this Han dynasty, we live in this nation where we're finally about to be rid of one of these pieces of trash. And it's just simply move him out and move in the next piece of trash. We will not gain one little thing when Mitch McConnell finally decides to mercifully retire and go on back to Kentucky where he can poop in his pants until the day they finally bury him. No, John Thune will walk right in and take over. John Cornyn will walk in and take over. And you know who likes those guys? Nobody. No one in the country. Nobody wants this. Yet this is the nation we live in. This is the nation we live in. A nation where we have the worst, dumbest, least popular people on the planet running the country. In case you're wondering who the next Republican leader of the Senate's going to be, well, here's a little preview.
We worked with the NRA to listen to their concerns, but in the end, I think they simply they have a membership and a business model that will not allow them to support any legislation. And so I understand where they're coming from, but I think most people will not allow any outside group to veto good public policy.
In my state, they use them to shoot prairie dogs and, other types of varmints. And so I think that there are legitimate reasons why people would want to have them. And I think the challenge you have already is that there are literally millions of them available in this country.
Boy, if that isn't just the low-T GOP. Hey, they have AR-15s. What do you think? Well, I mean, there are too many. We can't collect them all. And also, prairie dogs. These are the people we send to D.C. to defend our liberty. Disgusting. The Democrats are disgusting. The Republicans are disgusting. And everyone knows it. We are the Han dynasty towards the end, watching the worst people run the country. At least we'll look forward to tearing themselves apart because that stage comes next. That'll be a good time. And part of the reason we're in this situation is good people won't run for local office, school board, sheriff. The people who are in office, people like Senator Josh Hawley, the decent ones, they won't even run for Senate leadership.
Listen, I'm a guy who voted against my own leadership in the Senate. I mean, I just did it a few months ago where I voted against our current leadership. I said I thought we needed somebody different. We need somebody new. We need somebody who's actually in touch with the voters. And I stand by all of that. I mean, I say it practically every single day. I just think the Senate is really out of touch with the American people.
Senator, are you going to be in leadership soon? I totally agree. Our leadership really, really sucks in the Senate. The House is a little bit better, but are we going to see a move to kind of replace some of this old guard that's let us down time and time again?
Well, it's not going to be me.
What do you want me to say? Good people won't run? Now we're stuck with the Han dynasty. That may have made you uncomfortable too, but I'm right. I have great news. If you enjoyed that, I have a YouTube channel you can subscribe to. Whatever I do, it'll be right there on YouTube, so go subscribe today.